Well, it's Dismal Disney again, and frankly, I don't think anybody can be all that surprised, especially with the destruction of basically all the IPs that they own. And it doesn't matter if it happens to be in a theme park with a broken down attraction on day one, or with a television show that should have been a home run because it's associated with Star Wars, one of the most popular things ever, until recently. And Disney's largely to blame for their own destruction. I'm not sure how anybody could consider any of this a win, because it's not. But apparently, there are outlets out there that have been trying to artificially support probably one of the worst shows ever made on streaming, The Acolyte. So we're going to jump into some numbers here that I think are rather telling. Now, first, we have to start out with some shills, but I'm going to do a little bit of shilling myself for my website, beachpunk.us. That's right, you can get great summer gear there. And, winter gear, too. I mean, year-round, we've got you covered in all the different ways that you need with an ever-expanding lineup of products and high-quality art on amazing merchandise designs in a better quality than you're going to find elsewhere. So do check out beachpunk.us. Of course, on with this. We got to talk about Screen Cramp. Now, this is a while ago, published couple weeks ago at this point, nearly. And it comes from Screen Cramps, as I said. Forget Rotten Tomatoes, there's a new viewership data of what's really going on with The Acolyte. Now, mind you, these numbers are going to vary wildly from Nielsen or even Samba TV because the collection methodology is different. So it's to be expected that not everything is going to fall the way that it is in other places. So what's really going on? Well, The Acolyte faces review bombing. No, The Acolyte faces a fan base that's pretty much tired of garbage. It's not review bombing, it's awareness. Now, the new viewership data shows positive performance compared to other streaming shows. I don't think that's true. We'll look at the chart here in a second. But Luminate data from June 7th, to the 13th indicates that Acolyte's success despite Netflix's dominating presence. So, regardless of what you think of Leslie Headland, the former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein's show, I think you're going to find the data illuminating. As we look here, The Acolyte seemed to be in a position from this week, the June 7 to 13 period, which I think would be episode 3, with a decent hold in audience, or maybe even more, like people playing catch-up or watching all 3 episodes. But as you can see here, 380.5 million minutes watched. Previous estimated minutes watched were 210. That's not good. It's an 81% change in the right direction, but maybe not so much. So they're trying to tell you what they think about what that means. The problem is they had insufficient data as far as sample size. When you look further and you get through, I think, what would be episode 4 at this point with the Luminate data, Acolyte was watched by 262 million minutes, which is a decline of 31% from the previous week. It's good for number 7 on the original series chart, but not so much. So let's go back and look. Number 7 is Geek Girl. Things changed. Acolyte reverted. So a 31% decline is pretty significant from episode to episode. It's the steepest one, it appears, since Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And prior to that, Andor. All of these things are falling off precipitously, and it seems much like the Rings of Power, nobody's finishing it. But it gets even worse. And of course, we have to go over to our trusty That Park Place website to get the whole picture. So the Acolyte viewership declines for a second week in a row, nearly 60% decline from Ahsoka. Wow, I thought Ahsoka was gangbusters, right? Wrong. As we go through this, second week in a row, according to data shared by analytics firm Luminate, You see that Variety just reported that The Acolyte declined to 232.2 million minutes watched for the week of the show's 5th episode, which I have to tell you was ridiculous. It was dumb in 100 different ways, not to mention the fact that if that girl lit her hair on fire with that lightsaber, she'd be hard-pressed to put it out before, well, doing permanent damage to her scalp, head, face, other things. Anyway, continuing on. So there was an 11% decline from the previous week, which, as I already shared, had fallen off 31%. So of note, the runtime for both the 4th and 5th episodes are nearly identical. The 4th episode had a runtime of 34 minutes, 2 seconds, and the 5th was 34:05. So not much difference. Could be, previously on or something else that would have filled in the gap. But if that's the actual runtime of each episode, that's alarmingly similar. It also goes to prove that they didn't kill the Wookiee off screen because of, screen time for the next episode. They couldn't afford the 0.3 seconds or the 3 seconds of the show. I don't know. I know this. There have been longer episodes, so killing the Wookiee off screen, not a spectacular idea. So in looking at the chart, as you can see here, Acolyte has actually slipped all the way down to 9th place, another 11% fall. So the show hit its peak viewership with the release of its 3rd episode, which makes sense because everybody's trying to catch up. 3 episodes in, it's a good time to binge, see if you have a feel for this. And like most people, I imagine, my rule of thumb is I'll give you 3 before I'm out. And normally, I'd already be out. But I'm watching it for each and every one of you so you can get my insight on the various shows that I participate in. But the viewership for the 3rd episode debuted at 380.5 million minutes. Now, this is Luminate data, folks. The least viewed week was the show's premiere week. The 2 episodes premiering together only brought in 210 million minutes. That's not great. And yet, because of lack of competition, 9th place. Of note, viewership fluctuation also reflects the total number of reviews for individual episodes on the IMDb. Well, that makes sense. Fewer people watching, fewer reviews. The first episode received over 20,000 reviews, over 18,000 for the second. The 3rd episode was back up to 20, and then the 4th episode falling precipitously to 11,000. The 5th, which again fell an additional 11%, 8,400 reviews. Nobody cares. The artificial, pent-up baloney sausage, critic, narrative-driven, pandering reviews are gone. It's not worth it anymore. The battle's lost. No spinning this. So the show's viewership is also significantly lower than Ahsoka, which aired during the summer of 2023, last summer. The show's 2-episode premiere brought in 829 million minutes, as reported by Nielsen, compared to Acolyte's 210 million as reported by Illuminate. Now, I will say, because the methodology is different, I would like to compare apples to apples, because I think that the Nielsen number will be a little higher, but I don't think it's going to be 4 times as high, because it might have to be. Ahsoka declined the week of its 3rd episode to 487 million minutes, so there's a pattern here. The Acolyte increased to 380.5, and Ahsoka still had over 100 million more minutes viewed compared to Acolyte. Again, we're comparing the Illuminate numbers. Now, Ahsoka's 4th episode hauled in a 459 million minute number compared to the 262 million minutes of the Acolyte. Again, 200 million minutes, not a lot of people. But you're looking at a 59.7% decline. It's unlikely that viewership will increase until the final episode debuts, when some people might binge watch the entire season in one sitting and drive minutes watched up, which I would agree with, which will give you an artificial impression that it's somehow good, which it's not. But when you look at the audience score, and this has been fluctuating between 13 and 14%, it's pretty clear. 1.2 out of 5 stars does not a good show make. And this certainly isn't good. IMDb, similar, currently a 3.4 out of 10 rating. Not a winner. So the unweighted mean over on IMDb sits at a 3, with the majority of all reviews, 57.6%, 1 out of 10. Why does IMDb weight reviews? Well, they say because of review bombing. Have they not heard of positive review bombing? That's a lot of people saying bleck. Only 7.5% saying yay. That's a lot of things there. Now, again, you look at this sliding scale, and there doesn't seem to be anybody anywhere but on the polls between 3, 2, and 1. You have 70%. 70% of the people that don't like this. And yet on the highest end, you have 12%, roughly, somewhere in that ballpark, that think this show's worth it. There's nobody on either end, or I should say there's very few people in the middle. A lot of people just don't see it either way. They see it one side or the other. They don't see it in the middle. And I don't blame them. This seems to be a pattern with Disney shows. Disney Plus is a place where bad ideas go to start and ultimately die. We'll see what the last 3 episodes hold. I will be watching for you to give you my impressions of a terrible show with a terrible concept, no real mystery, and, well, very little else to offer. Unless you like to laugh. Last episode was funny. Maybe that's what you're into. On that note, I'm interested in what you have to say. Are these numbers as telling as I think they are? With a 60% decline from Ahsoka, I would think so, because Ahsoka wasn't exactly making ratings gangbusters or impressing anybody out there. And when you look at the biggest possible number, 3%, is it really smart to make a show for 3% of your audience? Wait till they tell you what the identity politics problem is at Disney and with their shows. You're making it shows, films, theme park attractions for the tiniest of minority that would care. Because most people don't have time for this nonsense. And forcing that issue is driving them away. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the video all the way to the end. If you're looking for the secret word of the day is candle. And you can put candle down in the comment section below for a discount code at beachpunk.us of up to 10%. On that note, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya.